Hey, it still is Tuesday. This is Trekland, and we are live. Yeah. Wait, what? There's an Origins Star Trek movie? Yes. Today on episode 364, Trekland Tuesdays Live with me, Dr. Trek Larry Nemechek, coming at you here from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47 and Trekland Treks. Hey, your home for unique, customized one-day away missions in the Los Angeles area, and your home for some clarity, sanity, and the bigger picture in all things Star Trek. I say that every week because when I first started saying that, it felt like you had no places to go. Aside from getting more and more backstage folks out in public now, yay, I feel like some of my battles are starting to be won. I'm starting to turn the battleship. And one thing that's happened is we've had some more islands of sanity that might seem to be growing. Yeah, I say that every week, right? Sanity, clarity, and the big picture for Star Trek. And it's not always a pitched battle out there. Sometimes it's just murky, confusing. Sometimes we've gone from the desert, we've gone from the fallow times, right, before 2017, to a time when we've got so many headlines. Even when we don't have fresh Trek every week, there's still plenty of Trek in the air. We've got so many creatives, past, present, and future, in front of and behind the camera, who are talking, going as guests to conventions, whether officially or not, they're on their own. And there's always some Star Trek in the air. And yet, I've been one to, I don't make fun of it, but just kind of discard and be thankful that the movie saga, or lack thereof, of the last few years has been a blessing. It's fine. It's fine. We don't have to worry about that. So, that's our topic today. I didn't welcome everybody, though, because I've just been thinking about this out of the blue. I've gone from thinking about what am I going to talk about this week that's not the same old, and yet something that's going to be out there. And yet this is the same old, but it's not. But before I go any further, hey, here is a big welcome to you for joining us for Trekland Tuesdays Live. Hey, if you're one of our regular T-tailers, that's great. But if you're new this week, please find the chat button, jump in, introduce yourself, let us know where you're coming from. Lurking is fine. I have lots of longtime listeners, first-time D-lurkers. So that is fine. But it would be great if you could pop in and let us know where you're coming from. I have been doing this since 2017, increasingly with better camera and lighting. Pandemic was great for this, but no, we've been doing this since 2017, and it's great to come in and take a temperature, see what the chat world is doing. And for the last year and a half, we've been having guests, and I'm hoping to have another round of guests coming up. We had kind of a spurt there for a while. But yes, welcome to Trekland Tuesdays Live, everything Trek. I'm Dr. Trek, haha. And I'm glad to see you here. Now, just a word, I hope you're coming to us on YouTube. That's my main channel now. We've mogrified over there. We are a super chat. You can jump in and throw in some change to get your question top of the heap when we get to questions. Q&A, that is. But, yeah, you can see us on Twitch and Facebook. But a warning, if you're on Facebook, you're only going to see the comments and chat from Facebook. Twitch and YouTube, you see everything, right? And if you're watching us later on YouTube, not live, welcome. Make sure and keep the conversation going. Leave some comments below, and maybe you can join us on a Tuesday afternoon. Now, gang, I won't beat around the bush here. It has been kind of a fallow time for Star Trek news. Now, what's great is we had the big two conventions, but still lots going on. GalaxyCon San Jose, is that what it was? A lot of conventions happening around the world. Long Island, who is this weekend? Or last weekend? Anyway, there's still lots of activity, lots of chances for you to get out, see your favorite folks in person. Of course, they may be more of a signing show than they are a convention, meaning the panels won't be as much. the fan activity won't be as much. It'll all just be more like county fair circus than a convention, old school convention. But it's still a great chance to get out and see folks. And the socials are flooded from the actors and from fans both about what they're seeing and doing. So that's good. I am in no mean talking about we're in a death spiral here for Star Trek news. But one thing that I've been saying, and also today, hang on, I have an unboxing. Ooh. No, one thing that in the rush of week to week, month to month news that we've had for most of the year, there have been some percolations about what's happening on the movie front. Now, you can look at all this as the headlines, of which they're very sparse. It's really more about gleanings from longer pieces. So when something about Paramount is announced and there's a whole slate of titles, you have to kind of pick out the Star Trek. There's not been any Star Trek-centric debate except for one exception, which I'll get to in a second. And even that's nothing on the nose. Everything we're at in this murky time is murky, is piecemeal. And that's maddening for some people. Thankfully, for the most part, the world is all focused on the TV side of things, on Kurtzman Trek, on the Kurtzman era. And there's plenty to go there. And even if one is not your favorite, I mean, we've been through all that. We're having our protest campaigns. We're having the Save Prodigy, Renew Prodigy, and Save Lower Decks, and all of that. All of that. Victory lap for Discovery, which is infinitely, I'm going to say it, infinitely more Trekish now than it was when it started, or at least of a uniform piece that doesn't stick out. And over the years, that stuck out part, it's going to be eroded into a smoother surface to match everything else, just the way a stone in a river, a rough rock in a creek, in a fast-flowing stream gets that way. And I'm not insulting everybody who actually loved the first season. I'm just saying all the rest of us and the creatives are going to find ways to blend Discovery's rough spots and Picard's rough spots into a tableau. But that's where our attention lies. Few people are. And I'm going to say, I try to always instantly light up and go magnetize myself when I find one live at a con, passing, at a party, whatever an event is. When I find someone who says they are a big fan of the Kelvin movies, and they have been a fan of the alternate universe, and they became that way in 2009, and that was their first Trek, up and down the line. They're sparse in mainstream conventions, in mainstream Treks, in Vegas's and San Diego's. They tend to pop up more in smaller gatherings that aren't so big focused, because big tends to indicate longtime fans or people who have incomes to get there. And so if they're a younger fan, and I say younger, it's been 15 years since 2009 debuted, gang. 15 years. So those folks aren't exactly Gen Zers anymore. They're up into their 30s and got some earning power. But all this is to say that it's been easy not just to not pay attention to the movie news, but not to have to pay attention to the movie news. So let's run through it real fast. And then there's some more to throw on top of that. Because I know as much as a lot of us are not paying close attention to the movie news, there are some people that are. And there are some people who are very, very aggregated. Aggregated? If they're in a poll sample, they're aggregated. Otherwise, individually, they are aggravated at this lack of, and none more so than Chris Pine himself, who's gone off. He's done the other career things. We're live. He is not stuck in that paranoia about I can't be Kirk my whole life. He's fine. He's totally set, and he's thrilled and anxious to get back to playing Spock. And so is just about the entire rest of that cast. Carl Urban is tearing it up with The Boys, all of his movies. But I know he'd like to be back and being McCoy. I hope he is. But the Kelvin universe is an alternate universe. And what has, beyond that little circle of fans, what little news we've happened has been bang, bang, bang. We've had this delay on the Star Trek 4 movie. Turnover. Who's in charge? And we'll get to that. It seems like no one's in charge because no one is. Or very long. Or they're outvoted. Or they're countermanded. Or there are new players in the game constantly. And that is why we've had, more than anything else, I think, that's why we've had delay. It's not even about, Paramount has rebounded from the days when they had to pull out of paying Chris Pine his full promised salary because the Chinese backers pulled out, and it was a financial thing. We're past those days. But here's what we know about the movie situation right now. So there is a Star Trek 4 sequel with yet the latest writer. Okay. That is, let me see here. So the latest news about that, it's a screenplay by a screenwriter named Steve Yockey, written on TV, Supernatural, Doom Patrol. He showran The Flight Attendant, which was Kaylee Cuoco's streaming sitcom, and the Sandman spinoff Dead Boy Detectives for Netflix, which is coming. So genre-ish stuff, nothing hardcore. He was going to be working on it. There was no director attached, but that's where it is. I know the delay and the vagueness of it was frustrating to Chris Pine, as I said. The fact that Matt Shackman from WandaVision left the project in the summer 2022, right before they were supposed to start, because they'd had it on the slate for December 23. Remember all this? This is why it's just been a blur. There's a whole lineage to this script. It'll be interesting to see how many names, if any, are attached, or if this is totally going. But what I'm talking about today, gang, wait, what? There's an Origins movie. It was kind of a shocker. And this has all just been since March. We've had a succession of headlines. So in March, we get trade stories in Variety that, yeah, there's a Star Trek 4 coming along somewhere that's supposed to be the final movie for the Chris Pine Kelvin crew, but that there is an origin story. January reported a follow-up in March, directed by Toby Haynes from Andor, who directed USS Callister on Black Mirror. Okay. And Seth Grahame-Smith, who wrote Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Okay. But what was most intriguing of all, aside from the names that we barely knew, and certainly nobody had ties to existing Star Trek, was, and I'm going to quote this, the movie was going to expand on the Star Trek universe and be an origin story that takes place decades before the 2009 movie. And this is one thing we talked about. This has been a year, right? Well, it felt like a year. This was January 24, and then again in March. People were all like, what does it mean? What does it mean? Let's go back and remember. Look at our definitions. Let's use our words. Decades before. Said this a few weeks back. 2009 movie had a prequel, had a prologue, right? The birth of Kirk on the Kelvin, the inciting incident that created the Kelvin universe, the attack on the Kelvin, with George Kirk, second in command, taking command for Captain Robot. That was the prime sliver of 2009 that people forgot about, which is introduced the Romulan supernova into the prime canon. Here's an example where maybe not everybody appreciated, enjoyed it, liked it, but for better or for worse, we were stuck with the Romulan supernova. Now, it went through 82 permutations because it wasn't tied down exactly what was going on in the movie, so that left it up to, the comic will define it, that Orsi and Kurtzman are writing themselves, or Bob Orsi anyway. Oh, no, now it's going to be redefined with later Star Trek series, one after the other. So, okay, Picard, okay. There we are. That was then. This is now. What we've got is this origin movie. If it took place decades before that, well, which part of the timeline? The 2250s main storyline? The 10 years before Kirk and Spock? Are we decades before the 2250s? Or are we decades before the 2230s, which was the earliest prologue sequence? Kirk's birth to Winona in the shuttle, blah, blah, blah. Because decade, either way, if they're referring to the 2250s, and I'm in the weeds here, but gang, I rarely get to go to the weeds anymore, so I'm going to do it with you. Decades, 20 years, would be the 2230s. So at the very least, it's going to flesh out that time of the Kelvin, of what was going on at that period. But what's probably happening here is decades before the prologue, which would be the 2210s, which would be more midway between Archer and Kirk. It would be more midway between first contact, the founding of the Federation, the Romulan War, and the founding of the Federation in 2161, the Romulan War in the late 2150s, just after the events of Enterprise. Damn it. Should have let them gone on and let us see that. And then had a big movie that you could have done the war on a movie scale and budget. But, okay, we're still waiting on that. Or are we? Because in the clunky language of promotion people, and I'm going to say this, people not familiar with the ongoing canon, especially what's being done on the Kurtzman shows, you could be, what I said at the time was maybe this is decades before, meaning the origin time. Now, since then, that got tons of wagging. This will serve, it said in January, as an origin story of sorts for the main timeline of the entire franchise. So no Kelvin, we're Prime, which by definition, if it was the 2230s or before, it would have been Prime anyway. We didn't need to be told that, but it's there, okay? So the worry comes in with a lot of fans going, oh no, what are these guys, gals, peeps? Who are they, and why are we trusting them with our Star Trek? Now, one thing, I have to point out a couple of things. Beyond throws a lot of canon at you very fast and loose with the Franklin and the Makos and the Romulan War. There's a lot of this very undertapped, unexplored segment of history that you get in bits and bobs. And I got to tell you, I was having apoplectics the night we saw the world premiere of Beyond at Comic-Con 8 years ago. And on the walk back from the band show where they had it there on the bay, I fell into a huge, deep discussion with my buddy James Kerwin, and we were hashing out, trying to remember with no audio-visual aids, nothing written down yet, nothing established. I was taking notes as I sat in my seat, and that's all I had to go on that. And we finagled it out. That almost to the same way that, excuse me, Michael Burnham is exactly slotted into the timeline, exactly where she has to be a foster daughter, to fit in with the Sarek family, with Spock, etc. So was every aspect connected to the Franklin, its Makos, its captain, yada, yada. It was all exactly slotted in. It was a ship built just before the NX-01, but not as ballyhooed, and then it was pressed into service for the Romulan War. And, you know, the NX-01 Archer ship was ballyhooed because it was the first Warp 5 engine. That was the first Warp, lesser Warp engine. Anyway, it fit. Sometimes you wonder why things aren't talked about later on. Why aren't the Denobulans talked about? Well, it's when they were invented. It's when they were invented in real time. And then we retcon, we gap fill and canon smooth why we particularly didn't hear about a thing, right, that comes along later. So this class of ship, this era of the show, on one hand, was a welcome fill to some empty gaps in the timeline, in the background, the universe of Trek. But at the same time, the implications were a little odd. So I should have said started today, I'm going to be long on Revelations. I'm going to be short on Revelations and more on implications. My point here is that these people that on the paper, on the surface of things, I don't know that I would trust them to get really detailed with canon. Just keep telling your fake Kelvin stories. It's going to be fine. Well, guess what? That was pre-Kelvin told in a Kelvin movie. That was a lot more than a sliver of a Romulan supernova. That was a lot of backstory. And this guy, the captain, the crew of the Franklin, had been hanging around. Idris Elba, wasted in this, had been wasted but they predated everything with Kelvin. So you couldn't dance around. That was the whole point. It had been that long. It had been nearly 100 years, 90 years. That was getting dicey. We did the math. It panned out. Now we're talking about the whole movie. So on one hand, we could be nervous Nellies that this is going to get botched or just feel weird and clumsy if they're not using shared creatives. On the visual side, much less on the conceptual side. I hope they check in with each other. You know, Harv Bennett's movie team on Star Trek V checked in with the TNG crew. The Enterprise D was going to be the Enterprise 7 to show the passage of time until the Roots folks worked, you know, David Gerald and Dorothy and Gene and Susan Sackett, all the folks working on the origins of TNG, Bob Justman, found out what the movie had already done, paid for, and filmed. Oh, they went with letters. And they've gone with the A. So let's ratchet this back. So for a while, would that have been the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, the Enterprise G? They decided, you know, that seems a little weird. Maybe that's a little too far in the future. We'll come back to D. There's a rare time here where the movies work together. And then in 6, since Leonard Nimoy was the linchpin of this 35th anniversary deal, he was in the Star Trek 6 movie, as well as his ballyhooed guest star 2-parter 5th season Next Generation for the anniversary that year, Unification 1 and 2. And he was the linchpin that could look back and forward and had a hand in both projects and could speak up for this. And so you get the space cowboy diplomacy line with that vibe back and forth. Didn't need to be a big link because everything back in the day was all about don't confuse the audience if they don't know. And we're going to assume that half our audience doesn't know. So we can't bog down with canon details going and coming unless it's absolutely vital to the story. No throwaway lines. Well, we're not living in that era anymore, are we? Lower Decks, Prodigy, go down the line. Okay, Strange New Worlds, Picard. Point being is people are more and more concerned about this origin movie. Who's doing it? What's their background? Now, here's the thing. So now we've got the origin movie, again, in the hands of director Toby Haynes. The USS Callister, Black Mirror, feels good to me on that account. And Andor, the series, I have no opinion on Andor. And a script by Seth Grahame-Smith, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Let's see what else he's got going. That was first blast January, March. April comes news that they are working on the movie, that 4 is there. They're paralleling. They're not fighting each other. They're not fighting for budget bucks and attention. They're intending to make both movies. The Star Trek Arabic numeral 4, which would be the last Chris Pine, which has had this long gestation period, generations of writers and directors attached. And then the origin story, now called the untitled Star Trek origin story. All right? That it's set decades before the Star Trek film. Still same people attached. Haynes is director, Grahame-Smith is writer. That's there. It was confirmed in April, just a few months ago. And they're saying 25, 26. So we'll see about that. And then, a little out of the blue, we get this announcement in May that they have hired themselves a Harv Bennett, that they have hired themselves not a Rick Berman, a Harv Bennett. Or if you want to, look at this, a Kevin Feige, whatever. Simon Kinberg, who is a British-born filmmaker, to produce the next feature film, to be the producer, right, over the director-writer. It's a director-driven media, sure, but producing the new films going forward. This is in May. He's best known for writing and or producing several films in the X-Men franchise. X-Men The Last Stand in 2006, Dark Phoenix. He's mainly worked on genre films, including Jumper back in 2008. He made the first 2 Deadpool movies, and he did The Martian. And so because of that, it has a Best Picture nomination. So feels like quality here. Still wonder about Star Trek. Now, you could be worried about this going to this time period and laying down things that we're supposed to have to deal with later on. You know, we should bear in mind that Harv Bennett or Nick Meyer had no clue about Star Trek, except to know that it was a big deal. And Harv Bennett, as we just kind of retraced our steps most recently here for his birthday mention, not only did his research and watched all the Star Trek episodes, and that's where he came up with the idea that the most intriguing thing about all of them was this Khan guy, like a seed planet, a space seed planet indeed. And then he's smart enough to reach out to kind of a premium level of fandom, which at the time was the Interstat letter comment zine readers and its editor, and sought them out for opinions. So he did his research, but he recognized he was coming in as a deficit and researched. Nick Meyer was a lot less so that way. He looked at the 5 drafts, took an uncredited credit writing job to pull them together, gave it to 2 of the names that were on the scripts, but it was really his script. And just wanted to get the damn thing done. He was hungry to work and get his name out there, and gave us everything that came since. There are times when folks have jumped in and not known Trek and given us classics like Wrath of Khan and the middle of the movie trilogy to come. So this is not unheralded. So Kinberg, just saying these names over and over again. Simon Kinberg, they've hired him. This would be his first project. They've hired him as a franchise director. Okay, so Haynes, Graham Smith, these are all names that, as much as we are not paying attention to the movie, we might want to start paying attention to, me included. Now, what's interesting is, since this hiring news, again, this is the story that was all about this, right? This was a hiring of a guy in the trades, typical story, and this was Star Trek focused. So how much is he weighing in on the script that was already written, on the team that was getting together? There's talk they're expecting to go into pre-production by the end of the year. Okay. There was a difference here at the time, back in April or May, excuse me. Hollywood Reporter saying they wanted to get the film into theaters by 2025. Puck saying they're looking at 2026 for a 60th anniversary movie. There we go. And it's said to involve the creation of Starfleet and humankind's first contact with aliens. Now, that got tons of wagging, because it's like, we know the first contact story. We've got first contact. Kiddos, the first contact in First Contact appears to be a 24-hour window. The first contact that we see is about 30 minutes. There's a lot more first contacting, and as the Cerritos would tell you, second contacting to come. And humankind's first contact with alien life. What were the first days and months and weeks after Vulcan contact like? What was it like with the Vulcans, and what did it do? Did we have the panic on Earth? That's the reason we supposedly have Area 41 and protecting us from the Roswell crash in 47. Did we have widespread Earth panic? Was there division? Did we have the first, the paranoia? Did we have the exophobes, versus the people who embraced reaching out? Did it unite the planet? Did it factionalize the planet? That's all rife for storytelling, because then we get one more tidbit of news just in July, as again part of another story, that the Skydance Media Paramount story. So here's a tidbit in that. Announces that most of this movie, this Star Trek movie, is going to be set on Earth. Well, yeah. I mean, you might get some glimpses inside Vulcan ships or on Vulcan, but most of this is going to be about the Earth reaction. This is going to, and he directed Andor. Most of this is going to be about what's happening on Earth. Do we get Earthbound characters? Do we get Zephram Cochrane? Do we get some of the names that have been in, beta canon about what's happening at this time? So far, so good. Everything that's been a sliver of info, it fits. It fits. If it's decades before, but it's about first contacts with aliens, it's not uprooting everything we saw in First Contact. It's what happens immediately after. Maybe we even get some more information about World War III, which happened 10 years before First Contact, that Cochrane and everybody around him, civilization was recovering from. Was the populated area, was Southern California, say, decimated by World War III? Half decimated? What was the Hermosa quake in 47? What had that done to, anyway, we're up in Bozeman, Montana, using old Titan II missile silos. What was the rest of the world like? This is like taking Journey to Babel with these crumbs about the Federation and some of the members and fleshing it out to finally do that to our movie. So, gang, on the surface, this does not seem dicey. Now, just for the fact of lack of communication, just for the fact of there not being the Akutas and Sternbach and Bob Blackman and Mike Westbrook, just because there are the key creatives that give us the look and the feel of what we know, i.e. the TV universe, not simultaneously working on a movie the way the Berman era had it with the TNG movies. I mean, the original series movie era, the Monster Maroon era, was established by the time Harve Bennett was doing 5, and then Ralph Winter alone on 6, and the Next Generation trolling along doing what it was doing on TV. We had a time of split times, but as I said, they talked to each other. There was some overlap. Somebody higher up at Paramount made sure they talked to each other. And the last interview that I did, my only interview with Harve Bennett, but it was his last interview, I asked about this time period, what that was like. Did you all even interact with each other? And he was like, no, we did our thing. Somebody somewhere along the way, thankfully, and you had Gene's office still before Gene passed. Well, for 5 anyway, not for 6 so much. But you had some communication pipeline. Is that going to exist now? That's the concern. That's the worry. But I guess I'm here to say, for the most part, so far so good, even though a lot of people are nervous. And a lot of people, as we have seen with the coming of Discovery, not everybody gets it that canon is canon. Some people apparently are able to box it in their brains that concept canon is canon and visual canon, oh, who the hell cares? As long as you've got the dates and times and factoids right, which you should, that the visual representation doesn't matter. Wrong. I hope that's being paid attention to. I hope there's at least a little bit of consulting, if not outright work. We'll see. We'll see. If this indeed goes into pre-production by the end of the year, a 2026 debut is looking. Because, again, restarting the well-oiled machine is always more difficult than you think. You don't rush into these things. And it's been so long, even since the last movie, right? We're coming up on 8 years, coming up on 10 years since it was produced before it debuted. Beyond, that is. So there's no well-oiled machine up and running. It's going to be interesting to see who's hired on a movie level with movie credentials, even with the wall coming down between peak TV, cinematic TV, and cinema. In so many ways, there's no difference. And yes, a lot of the same people work both ways. So I'm hoping that works in our favor here. Section 31 looks like a Wrath of Khan in that it has greatly expanded the TV limits of its times, and they've blown the wad on it. Also, I don't think it's the last we'll see of those sets. So that's our update. We still have an untitled origin movie coming later 25, potentially probably 26. We have a director, we have a writer, and we have a new franchise movie shepherder who's going to exist alongside Alex running Secret Hideout TV, whatever the scale is. And it'll be akin to those days when Harv ran the movie franchise. They were separately shepherded, and Rick was running the TV franchise. It'll be akin to those days. Let's hope there's at least enough crossover across the years, centuries, decades, that things can maintain. Because if this is the start of something and they're going to crank out 3, 4, 5, 6 until the paradigm shifts and the pendulum swings back and the owners change again, that we still keep adding into our canon. There's plenty of gaps to go to, as I keep preaching. And this would be one of the things I preach about. I'd rather see a Romulan War movie, but hey, this would predate that, because this is the baby steps, even before the Romulan War and the founding of the Federation. It's right for change. And the further back in time it is, and the least it's even been talked about, the more elbow room they have to play with, which is a good thing, without it being an alternate universe, as the ultimate caveat. So, okay, let's see where this takes us. But you know, kids, the ultimate here, and the ultimate regarding Star Trek IV, last movie with the Chris Pine Kelvin crew, is we've just had the deal done for the Skydance merger. There are Skydance movie people who fully intend to walk over and be deciders, movers and shakers for the new overall Paramount movie deal. And yeah, everything else will have promotion and blah, 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 and the TV wings and all that. Well, Alex is up and running. The TV side is secure. What's the thing that there's no clear steerage, as we've seen all the Sturm and Drang with Paramount's situation. Financial ownership, is it wobbly? Is it looking for a buyer, a partner? What's happening? This whole song and dance for the last 5 years is why Star Trek IV has not had a clear vision, a clear leader, a clear voice, no one shepherding the movie empire. And there's been nobody that's why this has wobbled around so much. And now we've just had the latest hiccup. Are we going to have to wait for all that to settle down? Are these brave, optimistic predictions about timelines and deadlines on a schedule for the movies, especially Origins? We'll see. We will see. Is Kinberg's is his hiring here? Kinberg, excuse me. Is his hiring in April going to be subject to review by the new owners? Is that not going to happen? Will he be paid off and somebody will bring somebody else new in? We'll see. Would Skydance, as a potential past financial partner, had a hand in naming him all along? Had Ellison been privy, or his cohorts been privy to this hiring in the first place? We'll see. Since this news, and since the Skydance story, all the news have barely mentioned Star Trek as a franchise jewel in the crown. There's been very little about Star Trek or any of these particulars since then. And we'll see what happens. We're waiting for the dust to settle, as is everybody. It's not just been about cuts and layoffs. There's who's running the show, who's running the shop. And that's just something we have to wait on. Meanwhile, these dates, these schedules, these names, these intentions are still there. The business side that's where that stands. And for the Canonista side of things, I say that lovingly, so far, people got the wrong ideas. People weren't thinking. But when you look at everything in the light of day, it's okay. So far, so good. All right. See, I knew it. I knew there were just scraps of items there to talk about. But once we start, it's the connecting the dots that takes the time. Now, I promised you late an unboxing. Yay, yay, yay. So here's the thing. For all of you, if I didn't mention it, if I didn't get to questions yet, I'll do it in a minute, okay? We always have this platform first, and then we dive into the questions. But yay, I've got a boxing to do. So let's get into it. just trying to be dramatic. It's not that heavy a thing. Okay. And, oh, it's a one-sider. And it is, ta-da, yeah, you probably guessed. It's the Discovery final season, season 5. Oh, look at that. With over 2 hours of special features. My heart has grown warmer to Discovery. It started with the 4th season. And a lot of the bits and pieces that we found out about season 4 and 5 are making a lot of sense now in hindsight. Now that the secrecy spoiler shroud has been lifted, a lot of the younger writers coming to Discovery were pumping in a lot of the feel goods. That's why. And if you've noticed, if you saw my second opinions, I always tried to point these out. Sometimes even some of the writers and creatives were willing to either publicly in their socials or just answer a question for me, some of the cool little Easter eggs. I don't mean Star Trek Easter eggs. I mean names and occasions and moments and what's the story behind them. And it's just little things like that that I've always enjoyed gathering before the memory well got too dry. This is the Discovery final season. There's also a complete Discovery set that's out there. This has got, they're doing that. It's the good quality that you've expected. This is a DVD. And what's funny is they don't even include the paper press release anymore. But I mean, you can see the features here. The features are called the bio things, a team effort. The creature force on Discovery. Okay. Being Michael Burnham. That's interesting. Director development, Star Trek Discovery's The Voyagers of Season 5, which are audio commentaries, deleted scenes, and of course the gag reel. I miss the days of calling it the bloopers. Is that just one of those terms that's going to go away? Like teaser is now the cold open instead of the teaser. I don't know, because no one's having to be teased not to turn their channel. Now it's like no one has to be told not to hit the button on the remote and get their butt up out of the sofa. So it's what it is, not what it's doing. I don't know. I miss teasers. I miss the blooper reels. Seems like the gag reel would make you want to gag. I know it's a gag. It's funny, but still. Gag, if it's a gag, it feels like it was premeditated. And some of them were. But bloopers sounds more accidental of the moment. Okay, well, I didn't mean to get off on that. Lord knows the world has enough going on without a diatribe about gag versus blooper. Did I just start a whole new controversy? I don't know. Anyway, this is out. It's on sale now. It's been out, for a few days. You can catch it. There's a lot of sidebar things coming out on Discovery. The Prodigy DVDs are right around the corner, too, as well. You heard a lot of that product merch news coming out of Comic-Con. Anyway, Discovery Season 5. It's Blu-ray, it's Blue Steel, and the DVDs. It's technically still coming from CBS Home Entertainment. Boom, with the I. Oh, and Paramount. I love how it's co-branded. Once again, are they ever going to get rid of the overlap in the turf? And we'll see. Meanwhile, the events of the last few years have shown that hard media is good to find. Because you can never predict what the ownership swings, what the moods of streaming platforms are going to be. It's good to be able to put your own hands on your own discs. Discovery Season 5, it's out now. All right. Well, I'm going to take a mini break here as per. Just if you're hanging on with us live, gang, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. If you are watching us later on YouTube, though, just want to say a couple things, would you please? As you should know, we're having a lot of fun here, in part thanks to my Patreon bunch. So I got to give them a thank you. Got to give our Patreon folks a big thank you. Chuck A., James Kerwin, Diana Hopkins, Jesse of Crusher Convo, Lawrence Todd, Halbert Gunyonson, Justin Porteous, Galinda Bruton, Chris Jiggins, Josh Patton, Pranakasha Productions, Keith Rombach, Comedy Forecast, and Andrew Jasimski, several of whom I was thrilled to be able to see at Vegas. Also, at Vegas, I saw some of these folks, Robert McLean, our live wires. Byron Bailey, J.R. Poole, Alan Hoenzi, James, Dave Gregory, Greg Wigstrom, and Casey Shafsky. Hey, thank you guys so much. Guys, gals, and peeps, if you want to join in on my Patreon, that's fine. It's very simple. It's very simple when you have the cards in order. It's $5 a month or $10 a month. Patreon.com/Trekland Live for a shout out here and access, which are overdue, to the first few generations of backstage interviews, highlights that we began with Portal 47. The first few years of the Portal. Yeah. Hey, otherwise, I mentioned it at the beginning, but it'd be great. TreklandTrucks.com. If you're thinking of coming to LA, look it up. Check it out, TreklandTrucks.com, or at my site, LarryNemechek.com. Your unique, your custom designed, with my help and my concierging, your real life away mission around greater SoCal, 50 plus location sites from the original series through Picard. We'll see if we get any more of these movies ever get to filming. We'll see if any of them are filmed around LA. We could add to that list. Anyway, check it out. It's a lot of fun. And also, it's a Tuesday. Check out the Trek Files. Would you please? The Trek Files is our podcast for Roddenberry this week. Hey, it's a mailbag week once a season. John Champion, my producer, and I dive into the retro mailbag, and this week it's kids and adults letters from 1975. Some funny stuff and some fun stuff, some cool stuff. Check out the Trek Files as always going on. Gang, that's going to do it for me, I think. I just want to remind you, if you want to see more of me in Trekland, it's Larry Nemechek on Twitter X. I'll never stop saying Twitter, will you? Larry Nemechek's Trekland. Like and subscribe here on YouTube if you haven't done it yet. Ring the bell, be knowing not just these, but also whenever we have a live special happening. You never know. You never know. Trekland also on Facebook and Instagram. Don't forget Instagram. Portal47.net. If you just want to jump in the portal, our mini-con all year long, we have a guest tomorrow night that I haven't even told the Portales yet. That's going out today. It's not too late to join today and be with us tomorrow night. That's it for right now. Again, thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for watching live or later. Leave a comment below at any time. But now I'll be right back in just a second. We'll take this mid-break. And I just got to say, if you are leaving us now, stay healthy. Do all the things. Stay woke. Check the sources. I want to say check the CGI lineage. And yeah, Trek well. Everybody. Woof. All right. Let's back scroll and see how bored everybody is talking about the movie. Okay. Visual effects. Art DS, Derek Smith, you've added your name to it. So, hey, welcome back. Have we made a Tuesdayer, a TTLer out of you now? Cassandra, hi. It was great for you to join Portal 47. I hope you can make it to one of our roundtables sometime. If not guest night tomorrow night, the Ask Dr. Trek roundtables. Oh, very nice. Very nice. Do you go by Cassandra or Cassie? Cassandra's fine. Okay. We'll let you stay low key. And Dr. Dave is in the house. Good to see you, sir. All right. Oh no, a last minute bid for Paramount Global. Will Skydance still prevail? Really? I think that came out a few days ago. I think it's going nowhere. I think we've all been through way too much drama. We don't even have a financial stake, just an emotional fan stake in what happens. Well, I say that. Some folks I know had stock or they've sold it. Hi, Rose. It's always good to see you coming over. No, Cass, I don't think I'm going to make, I think San Francisco will be the only regional one of the creations I make. I mean, I need, unless you have a sponsor. Are you in the mood for sponsoring, folks? Absolutely, Dave. Plenty of time to rewatch, restream, and bond with folks at conventions. Absolutely. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if these are all creation shows on their model. It'll be interesting to see if we have a rebound of some local fan nonprofits as well that are all Trek or mostly Trek. You know, in the mold of, say, the late great Steve Walker's Starland in Denver. Yes, unboxing. Let's see, everybody. Trek needs an Undertaker. Well, that's an interesting thing to say, James. I know you've been with us before, James. This is interesting, Sean. All your people back in Oklahoma are doing okay and not doing Texas. No one deserves that. Amen. Now, watch Fathery come in here and mess me up here. Salute. There you go. Yes, we're past it now. We belong to Skydance now. Oh, they're going to put all 4 Kelvin 4 scripts to an AI and put Frakes at the helm of the results. So the 80s, we have Nick Meyer to do it, and now we just let AI combine all those scripts. Yikes. Hello, Tim. Greetings from New Zealand. It's been a minute or two. Okay, so you've been with us before, but it's been a while? Absolutely. All righty. Good to have you back now. Adrian. I know you love that. As long as we isolate the AI so it doesn't pull in, plagiarize other writers' work, it only uses the Kelvin scripts with Frakes at the helm and me, Larry, James Kerwin, Jesse Heide as advisors. Yes, every movie needs 6 advisors. Thank you for thinking so broad-mindedly. Yes, Sean. I hope everybody is well aware. I hope everybody in San Francisco is taking precautions. Well, I think there was some news about Liz having a job coming. I know we'd love to see Liz be part of it. Let's not leave Dave out of this. Who brought Liz aboard? Who brought all those people aboard? Who had the sensibility to be the hub of the thing? Yeah. But these guys and gals, it's amazing to see them all become superstars now. It took what, Mike and Doug 20 years to do that, and boom, here's Dave and Liz. Absolutely. Hey, Samantha, good to see you too. And Holly popping in there. See? Yep. Hey, Holly. The Trek Reviewer. Are you new to our circle here on Tuesdays? If either way, yay, howdy. Welcome aboard. A chronic anomaly movie. Wait, what? Why the colors are off on the DVD transfers of the 90s shows? Someone hit the wrong button on the color sorting machine. We're talking about Voyager and DS9, the two that weren't up-resed and went through a separate process. No, I did not see that, Sean. Do you have a source? I'd love to see that. Acolyte has been canceled. All right. Maybe about Trelane before Q. That might be a reach. Most people, William, I think, have retconned and headcanon that Trelane was a Q. If Christoph, you just continue to amaze and astound me. What do you mean? If Rick Berman and Harbinner are producer types, what is Larry Nemechek a type of? Well, there you go, a reporter type. Hey, Chuck A. Good to see you, sir. Back at you. Oh, did I say Area 41? Well, Area 51 is Area 41 adjusted for inflation. My head went to 47, I guess. 47, 42. Yeah, I guess 51. 51, everybody. That's funny. No, Area 47 would be too cute. That would just be too perfect. You'd think I'd never seen Deep Space Nine. You know, gang, I knew about Area 51 before Little Green Men. Just saying. Just saying. Oh my gosh. One EMC 011. Who is this? Greetings from Italy and from Fuji. Oh, I miss Fuji. My gosh, it's been 2009. I think we talk about getting back there, and I think the pandemic, I think we were headed back to Fuji and DeepCon, but the pandemic messed up that year. I think. Oh, okay. One EMC 011. One emo 011. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Also, Tilly Bridges. Hey, Trek reviewer, how much do I think will change with what Kurtzman has planned for Star Trek when Skydance takes full control and maybe even a change of leadership of Trek? Well, we talked about this. Kurtzman has 5 years left on a contract that started in, at the top of my head. We talked about this a few months ago. We actually got out the date when his contract renews. Now, is there a reason to change this? People always look at this as the glass half empty. I mean, think about the times when a coach has a team for ages, or you're in high school and a favorite teacher has the band or vocal music or whatever it is, and they leave, and then they hire, it feels like it's effortless, and they hire the new coach, the new program director, and things flounder. They're not automatic, right? So I know a lot of people, they hate Alex's guts going back to the 2009 movie and just being on the team. And anybody that looks at the array of Treks we have now, the different flavors of the buffet, and think he needs to go, especially if you saw him probably opening up a lot more than ever before at Comic-Con live. The panel with Russell T Davies had some really poignant moments in it. And he talked about what it was like to be bashed in social media and how you just, if you think you're in your gut, you're right, you just keep on. And how you deal with that and not even let it bend you one way or the other. Acknowledge, sort through, but you got to remember that if people have something constructive to say, they'll say it constructively and not just a toxic idiocy. That's not helpful. Even if there's a kernel of truth in what someone is saying, if they can't deliver it, then what's the point? So he's got 1 or 2 more years left on his contract. I don't know how anybody would rationally say this has been a disaster. It's been the industry at large. It's been the streaming emperor has no clothes on. That's what's been ridiculous. I think he's done everything that's been asked of him with a million, and sure, a rough start in a lot of ways that he inherited that weren't his fault. Everything has been about trying to right the ship. But were Discovery and Lower Decks and Prodigy and Picard and what's that other one? Oh yeah, Strange. Were those have all wound up or ended up? You don't fire that. You don't fire that. So I don't think to answer your question that for right now, unless something ridiculous changes or someone gets really, I want my guy, I want my girl running that, and there's no rational reason. It's just all emotional and because they could. But right now, the movie side is what needs the attention, and that's what they're looking into leaning into. And like I said, was that done in consultation, or Is that subject now to being revised? We'll see. But thank you, Trek reviewer. Thanks for the good question. Yeah, Frakes directed a murder mystery. It's not just. I have a little gleaning about this, which I'm sworn to secrecy about and trust anyway. Think Strange New Worlds running out of road and creeping too close to TOS era. Well, they've still got 3 or 4 or 5 years, and they've got a lot of turf to cover. You saw where there's a Roger Corby hired. You've got that whole triangle. We've got the whole Spock to Pring. There's a lot to get to. They never released a cereal called Frosted Flake. Oh, Frosted Frakes with Frakes on the box. And why is this not a thing? I don't know, Sean. Make it so. That is funny. Don't forget about the book where Vulcans land on Earth before first contact. Are you talking about Carbon Creek? Get the movies out of the effing Apple Store aesthetic. I think the Franklin started to go there, so we'll see. But yes. Yeah. Good thing that was all fake. It was all Kelvin Universe. It could be whatever it wanted to be. Didn't affect the 99% of Star Trek, the Prime Universe. Yes. Yes. And when we say the Voyager has landed, we mean it. He had Data in front of Voyager too. Everything had the Voyager behind it. I said, what? The Voyager is suddenly the only starship that's available for licensee use, image-wise? That's funny. Well, Enterprise is hold on, Sean. Enterprise is before First Contact. I mean, no, it's after First Contact. Enterprise is before TOS. You've got First Contact in the 2160s. Oh, it's the 2060s. And then 100 years later, in the 2150s, you've got Archer and Enterprise. And then you've got 100 years to the 2260s with Kirk. So you've got a century between 80, 90 years between Bozeman and Archer. And then you've got 100 years between Archer and Kirk. Now you've been splitting things up. You saw the Kelvin moment, the Romulan supernova, not the supernova, but you saw the Romulan, the Kelvin incursion timeline split happen midway between Archer and Kirk. But there's been nothing between First Contact, not the Romulan War, not the founding of the Federation, nothing until we glimpsed the scenes at the beginning of 2009 from the 2230s. So yeah, it's wide open. I keep saying we need a mid Archer Kirk and a mid Kirk Picard, but you've got mid First Contact to Archer to get through. Yes, a little early for unboxing day. There we go. Hey, Rose, we don't know. The streaming world is consolidating and retrenching, and whether they keep the branding, whether they go with something else, we'll see. It might be called Paramount Plus, but it may look and feel different. Okay, Sean. Yes. Peace is good for business. Not to be confused with the 34th, which I'm going to guess is war is good for business. JR. Okay, cool. Remember, it wasn't news. I was just trying to recap the dots that we've all been laughing at and ignoring. So, okay, thank you. That I'll take that. Yay. I thought maybe I was walling around a little bit too much there at times. Yeah, you see what I mean, Dave? You agree with me? Yes. Upscaled and P plus has a poorer transfer. Interesting. Well, outtakes was always a very industry term. Now, the blooper reel, the bloopers, that came out of the 70s in original fandom. Yeah. Here we go. What are you saying? Exactly. Gag is planned, blooper accidentally, unintentionally funny. Now, they are both from the 60s onward. They were both part of that. Flubbing a line is a true blooper. A gag is Ted Cassidy as Injun Joe running in and grabbing Kirk from the jail outside. That was Ralph Sininsky set that up, by the way. And if you follow Trekland, if you're a Portal 47er, and other places too, Ralph Sininsky is amazing. He's 101, directed all those classic episodes, unceremoniously fired on Tholian Webb directing it by the new head of Paramount TV, trying to throw his weight around and show that he's not putting up with people running over budget, when it wasn't Ralph's fault. It was the stupid spacesuits of Tholian Webb. They should have shot the scenes at the end of the shoot. Instead, they started with him and it held him up and he lost half a day. Long story. We cover it on the Trek Files, and we've had Ralph on Portal 47 too. But amazing reunion. They got him out to the San Jose Con, and I was like, oh, I wish I'd been there. I met him. I've gone by his house and had a long interview. Finally. Thank you, Donnie, for keeping our immemorial weekly reel going. Yes. Greg Kine, Peter Marshall, and Phil Donahue. Good to know this, Christoph. Thanks for all the Germanics. It's kind of that world, Dave. Yeah. Selfishly buy the media to have it on the shelf, and then then warm up your streaming to keep the new stuff coming. Keep the meter running. What do we got going here? Oh, what? My shirt matched my eyes. Okay, well, they're technically hazel. They're not just green. They're blue and gold flecks too. So there you go. I realized I didn't have that many green shirts, and I should. There you go. Christian splurged for the Steelbook version. Yes. Yeah, it was a stupid move. Yeah. Sehr gut. Oh, Steve Areno. Good to see you, man. I hope everything is going good. I miss you. I wish we were out. Ever since pandemic, it's just kind of like plop. But I didn't even get to Oklahoma this year so far. So here's to you. As you'll remember, what was that? Touch of the Poet? I don't know. The river Tagus will take us wherever it wants to take us. Check the AI for fingers if there's 6 fingers on both ends. It's not real. Well, there's the famous blooper in the animated series where there's a 6-fingered Spock, I think, pointing. Oh, well, thank you, Super Chat Pranakasha. Thank you, man. Hey, Rashid coming in from London. Hope you're well. I'm well. Hope you are too, man. See, we're global this time of day. Yay. Oh, in your youth, animated figures often had too few fingers. There we go. Now, see, but Matt, you do this, Matthew, and then Matt at Pranakasha, and then then you never ask a question, or maybe you did. Truth be told, you have a bit of a crush after seeing Liz at STLV. Well, who doesn't? Are you alive? She's just amazing. Someone that good looking with that much talent and that much personality, down to earth, humility. Yeah. Liz is amazing. Oh, hi, Tim. New Zealand, you Kiwi, you. Don't often get the opportunity. Normally at work. You're very hard at work. It's okay. We'll all support you. This is what I'm hearing. Yeah, the Orville is going to shoot in January, but some of our folks are going to get back to work, like Doug and maybe Liz. I'm sorry, Trek reviewer. Sometimes when it's not an actual name in the handle, it's so. Forgive me. I don't mean to. Future Cop. Last time I was here. Okay. I mean, and again, Future Cop isn't exactly always top of mind as a topic, but that's awesome. It's all good. It's all good. I'm glad you're here. And keep throwing out those good discussion topics too. Oh, well, I missed this, Sean. Sorry. I'm still trying to see the wall. We're working on the wall. I'm working on the hanging door now. I can't just do it 24/7. I have little bits and pieces. Well, JR, it works so well with 47 and 42. I thought I'd just steal it again, right? Area 51. Exactly, Christoph. Exactly. Deflation with the pandemic. And hey, boy, this is just great reunion week here. Hey, Diana. Good to see you. Hope everything's good with you and your dad and the K-man. Yeah, I think it's easier. People think it's easy to juggle one ball, but when you're juggling 5 and 6 balls, keeping them in the air, and then having people take a ball away and give you a new ball in mid juggle, it's sometimes if people make it easier than it looks, and they're still able to take criticism, and sometimes it's warranted. Sometimes it's just the system, but there's been so much going on lately that's above his pay grade, like the world at large, pandemics, strikes, stupid corporate owners, most of whom really aren't. The Paramount ownership they've been a little small-minded, but they've been less affected by stupid Zaslav Netflix type drama and more just who's going to own the corporation and what's the future, that kind of drama, and what's happening. Long live. I said that for you. There's your $10 worth right there. Long live the naked streaming emperor. Yeah. All the 51 pricing, but in a 41 building. Okay, Donnie. You would hope that the merger would be on replacing him. Well, they'll either they buy out his contract or they let him have that last year or so. We looked this up. It may have been during a Portal Ask Dr. Trek session that I looked up his contract ending. Yes. Well, yeah, a contract's a contract made with the business at the time. Now, if they want to come along and buy him out, I'm sure there's buyout provisions in here too. That's what you do. You're not fired. You have a contract, but you're bought out or you're let go, and then they pay you a penalty for letting you go. It's like coaches. That's kind of the coaches and players. That's probably the most public edition of that where it's a contractual employment thing, but most of that's private business. I'm going to say sports and studio heads are kind of the most public private business things like that we have. Yes. Now, wait, what? Rule of action 40, both are free, as in not referenced. Oh, okay. According to Memory Alpha 47, ain't free. There you go. A short road getting with it. Rose, I have no idea. And I don't think they'll replace. I think they're smart enough to know that Paramount is the brand that's not worth throwing away. Rose, I'm going to bet they're going to let you know. Yeah, Carl, I think the deadline just passed. The layoffs were what, a week ago today? I think I'm doing this off the top of my head, but I thought it had been a month, the 60 days. Yeah, exactly. Well, there's a lot of difference in viewing consumption patterns behavior between the states and the smaller markets. And I don't mean that I'm just saying, the way we have local TV stations with networks, and you all have networks that just serve the whole country and the scale doesn't let you have individual local stations as part of a larger network. Oh, hey, Allie, it's the 20-something Trekkie. Good to be back in the USA. Yes. Oops. Now I'm trying to remember, Marine or soldier that you're hooked up with. Anyway, cool. All right. Well, I'm sitting here speaking out of turn. Oh my God. Bronfman wants to make a bid. He was involved with, was he the Seagrams guy in Universal? Was that? Right. It was a month window for last minute deals. This is interesting. Did this just come down the pike? Oh, yesterday. No, I missed this. Sorry, my attention was somewhere else. Prepping for this, getting guests, and watching a little special last night all night long. There you go. Well, the set that had the toggle. Yeah. You have your father's eyes, and once the police figure out to prove it, I'm going to jail. Coast is clear so far. Very funny. Yes. Well, you just know that if you're flying in the Midwest, April, May, June, July, it may not always be tornadoes per se, but just thunderstorms. Huge thunderstorms. The AIDS Walk LA in October. Here you go. We'll put it up here and leave it in the chat. And yeah, sure, I'll boost the signal on that. And I'll see have to plan it in October. Okay. Oh, in memory of Darnell. And he did the AIDS Walk LA every year. Absolutely. Well, this is a thing too. I've been trying to pin this down. I hadn't really, guys, I've been trying to build a wall. There's not a lot going on in truck world now that the big cons are over. Bob said, yes, Picardo said he'd met the cast, but so I knew it was happening. I didn't know if they started today, and I was going to pin that down, but there you go. Or he might not be part of the first days of shooting. So we are looking at the socials to see if anybody's allowed to put, like a director's chair or a digital slate in. Oh, you did this since the show started. Okay. Thank you. This is what I mean. It is hard to juggle balls. As a writer, creator, respect those who do, and the producers and studio heads can often make it harder to get the good ideas out. Yeah. There's people who just want to send notes to prove that they have a reason for existing. Are they helpful, or are they just noise that a suit sends you? Yeah. Yes. Adam Savage has been on the whole thing with the props auction. Mike and Denise are cleaning out some of their garage. Some of the Greg Jean pieces are coming out. Contract is a Christoph, come on. A contract is a contract is a contract, but only between Ferengi. Well, since I don't think Ferengi yet, I think we're still on this side of first contact, including first contact with Ferengi. So there you go. Okay. What are we what are we getting up to here? I'm just, let's see. What do you say? Oh. Oh, so you are starting to. Okay, that's interesting. That's like the economies of scale might finally afford make maybe some kind of a local, because you have the station model, radio stations to a little bit of a degree. There's still national radio, right? BBC 4, BBC 5, BBC 2 on radio. Radio 4. There we go. I think we're at the end of the chat as we know it. And I hope you do feel fine. Good. Yeah, Adam's kind of reinvented. I've never met Adam. I need to some point. I came close a couple of times in the Enterprise and Space days, but not. But yes, I think we're at the end of the chat. End of line. End of chat as we know it. So thanks everybody for joining me for Tuesday. I guess maybe at least a few of you appreciated that. I wanted to do it for my own sanity check about looking to see where things stand with the movies. We're so used to ignoring it because they didn't have to worry about it. But in the back of my mind, I was getting naggy, wondering what the percentage odds were that it was going to be something we'd all have to carry around and fix 20 years from now, rather than something that was going to be out. And the jury is still out. We don't know yet, but so far, so good. So there's that. There's, Hard Media Discovery Season 5. There's also a 5-set Discovery availability item. You can get all 5 years in one, all 5 seasons in one box that's coming too at the same time. But I think it's going to do it for me. So yeah, everybody, once again, thank you, all of our TTLers. How about I do this? Boom. Our TTLers, thank you so much. And our live wires in our Patreon. There you go. It's patreon.com/Trekland Live. Thank you. My Patreon group is the biggest it's ever been. So I appreciate everybody, whatever level you're doing and getting back. I also have had a couple of nibbles lately for Trek tours. It's going to be gorgeous across Southern California, maybe a little cooler. So September, October, November are all great time. El Nino is holding off, I hear. So the rain chance is even lesser as we get into it. We'll put together your own away mission day that'll be special. It'll be a memory of a lifetime. And again, it's fan mail for some flounder? No. This is what I really call a message on the Trek Files. Trek Files at our new home at thetrekfiles.com takes you right to our new pages every week on Memory Alpha, where you can search all of our episodes as well as jump right back into the deep links. Still have the Facebook page, still have the podcast at all the podcast places, but now the podcast player, the audio, and the documents and the deep links are all in one place at Memory Alpha on our Trek Files page, Memory Alpha, and all 12 seasons to boot. Meanwhile, the entirety of humanity is located on Twitter X. Hey, please like and subscribe to YouTube if you haven't yet. Would you please? Ring the bell, do all the things. Facebook, sure. Instagram, I love to have you with Instagram. A lot of fun stuff there. Portal47.net. Why not just jump in to the mini-con all year long? Hey, Portal 47. It's for all the Star Trek fans who have no idea how much Star Trek they still have no idea about. And it's a great community too. A lot of folks are with us here on Tuesday Live. So that's going to do it here for another week. Stay tuned. Got some things bubbling up. We'll see what happens for next week's show. But we have a Bell Riots countdown. We'll see. It'll be the 27th. We will see. We will see. Anyway, until next time, gang. Yes, until next time. No cons for a while. No lower decks until late October. So we'll see. We'll see what the coming weeks bring. Hang on to the news, the headlines. We'll see what's happening with that movie. We'll see what's happening with Star Trek. Take a breath. Rewatch your favorites. Rewatch the things you've only seen once. Fix the doors in your new wall. Oh, wait, that's me. And we'll see you next Tuesday. Right? So stay healthy. Do all the things. Stay woke. Check the sources. And trek well, everyone.